Hey patrons, it is another episode of What You Got, where I am talking to, various different people in the horror industry, publishers and authors and illustrators, about anything other than what they do on a day-to-day basis for horror. And with me today is John Palisano. Hi, John.
Hi.
John is the president of the Horror Writers Association, and we just recorded an episode that I'm going to be sharing through the Nightworms YouTube channel, talking about the Horror Writers Association. But this episode, we are going to be talking about John's other passions, and one of which includes being a musician. Is that right, John?
Yeah, of course. Hi. I mean, this is really exciting. This is an area I don't talk about too much these days, and I love it. I love my musician, the musician in me. I've been a musician actually as long as I've been a writer, pretty much. One of my first memories is being under my grandmother's piano while she played.
Aww.
Yeah,
I love that.
Down in Tennessee. So music is a big part of me. If anybody's read my writing, it's crept into almost all my writing one way or another. Even if you don't know it, it's there, with the rhythms and I've written hundreds and hundreds of songs over the years. And that definitely informed my writing too. It's a great school of learning how to write efficiently and quickly, theoretically.
Yeah. Well, you're in good company too, because I know Ronald Malfi is in a band.
Yep.
And he talks a lot about that. And Josh Mallerman plays, of course, in his band.
Yeah.
Nice do you know other horror writers that are also musicians?
It's crazy. There's so many.
I bet.
It's absolutely crazy. Jeremy Wagner plays in Broken Hope.
Duh, yeah.
Amazing, he's right? God.
A huge friend of mine.
Yeah, I love Jeremy. And he's so talented on every front,
Yes.
The list is endless. And one of my first big things that I ever did in horror writing was I played bass in a cover band with Heather Graham.
And the actress?
The author.
Oh.
not the other roller girl.
Yeah. That's funny.
It was Heather Graham singing, and F. Paul Wilson on drums.
Wow.
And Dave Sims on guitar, and I was playing bass, and we have revolving members. I think when we played in New Orleans, we played at the conventions, and Rio Yours came up and sang a song, and I think Alex Sokoloff sang one with us.
That's so cool.
And it was crazy because we all had this other life, and a couple weeks ago, I was emailing F. Paul about an Allman Brothers song he was learning on guitar in an open tuning. And we were kind of like nerding out about that. And you're like, F. Paul Wilson plays freaking Allman Brothers. I mean, this is so neat, right? And I think, it goes, even in the 80s, Stephen King was in the Rock Bottom Remainders with Amy Tan and a couple of people like that. So it's definitely there. I just saw Doug Morano with a Strat with Usman playing guitar.
Yeah, see,
this is crazy. Everybody plays, man.
I think it's just it really speaks to I think a creator spirit. You if you're a creator, you're not just kind of creating in one medium. I think a lot of people are writers and artists, or writers and musicians, or there just seems to be that brain is unlocking on multiple levels.
Yeah, I agree so much with that. And they're usually pretty talented too.
Right.
In different disciplines, just naturally. There's a lot of painters who are musicians or writers too. That's another discipline. And like Bob Cabin's paintings are unbelievable. John Picassio's paintings are insane, and they're also terrific writers, and
right.
And musicians. I know a lot of people don't know that Bob Cabin's band opened up for the Doors.
Right? I didn't know that.
Right? I was sitting I was sitting having a Halloween party. It's 3:00 in the morning. We were all strumming guitars. oh yeah, and and Ray Manzarek, okay. I was like, what? Wait, what? Oh yeah, we opened with the Doors. I was like, oh, mind blown. Oh my God, I've known you for
Yeah,
like
that's
5 years, and
insane.
you never dropped that bomb. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, dude. So it's pretty
What?
cool.
Well, what is your band called?
Right now, our band is called Quick and the Dead.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my guitar player says, he goes, I didn't name it after the movie. I didn't name it after the movie. And I said, I went to the movie with you, and we walked out. You said, it'd be a great band name. I remember
Like,
that. I came up with it myself. I said, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
But it is a cool name, and it works. And we just opened up. We had our big rock and roll dream finally came true at our advanced age, and we opened up for a Queen cover band called Queen Nation at the Starlight Bowl, which is this huge outdoor venue, and it was just massive and so crazy.
Wow.
We had like literally 4 days notice.
Yeah.
So we just really enjoyed that. They're kind of like Starlight Bowl's kind of like the little sister of the Hollywood Bowl.
Wait, and you have a book called Starlight Drive, don't you?
Yeah, which was weird.
Yeah.
I was like, this is weird.
A little plug for John's book, and it's Halloween themed, so definitely run out and buy it this month.
Woohoo! And that's actually named after a street in my hometown in Norwalk, Connecticut. So it's just kind of like this weird synchronicity thing that life kind of gives you at times, like
yeah,
it's all back. And it's really cool. Like I think that for me, to unlock my brain, I usually play guitar a little bit to kind of get back in the mood, to get away from the business of the HWA or other things, just so I can get into a creative space, and then I can start writing. And I also make themes for almost all of my books and many of my stories. Like if anybody who's read Nerves, I wrote all those songs and recorded them.
Wait, what did you say? I didn't catch the name of it.
Nerves, Nerves.
Nerves, yeah. Okay.
There's a whole thing in there about a song and an old 60s R&B singer that comes out to kind of help bring this locked in mom out of her shell so that she can, I don't know, it gets kind of obtuse there, but I did write all those songs because I was writing and I said, I need to know these songs. I need to hear them. I need to know the words because they're very important.
Yeah.
So I wrote and recorded all of them, like 6 songs. Yeah. And I do themes for almost all of my books. I usually start working on themes for them. So
do you listen to music while you write, or
usually not.
Yeah.
Usually not. Because I start then writing in the tempo and putting words from the songs that unknowingly and it's too much. I can't like concentrate. I think because my music brain starts taking over, then I start hearing the chords, and then my mind drifts. Like, oh, why did is that a bad note? Or what's that harmony? Are they doing a fifth or a set? What are they doing there? And then I'm like, oh, wait, I got to get back to this.
Yeah, that I've always wondered about people who can write while they're listening to music. Like Brian Keene and some other writer friend of his were like talking about how they do that. And I was so impressed because I can't even think of another song while a song is playing. So I can't imagine trying to like formulate words and write like a story while you're listening to music. But that's cool that some people can do that.
Yeah. And there's no specific way that people create. Everybody's a little different,
Yeah.
I had a good friend. I worked at a gas station in my early 20s overnights, and he would crank up thrash music and he would read books.
What the?
Right? Like he'd be reading like Emerson, like he'd be sitting there like reading and very intricate things and Tolstoy, but with Metallica going, and he'd be mouthing Metallica like,
yeah.
And he's reading, and then after he'd have these deep conversations with me about these books. Like, how do you do that? And somebody would come in and they'd be like, I need 6 gallons. He'd be like, all right, it'd be 3, okay. And he'd go, I'm like, how does you have like 6 brains in there or something going at the same
some
time?
People's brains are so crazy.
Yeah, but not mine. I'm kind of a one-track brain, I guess.
Yeah, mine too.
So it is what it is. I know it, and I just deal with it.
So you play guitar and you write music.
Yeah.
Like you do the whole, like you write the whole melody and everything. You don't just play, you like write it too.
Sure. I play a lot of instruments, not as well as guitar. I toured with a punk band as a drummer, as a bassist, and as a guitar player, and as a singer. The
Wow.
different bands. I know perfunctory piano. I learned that was my first instrument. So I play all the. I'm most prolific on the guitar. But yeah, I still do that. I still write lyrics. I write the melodies. I record lots and lots of music in that way, and it's great nowadays. You have a laptop, you have a whole band in there. It's like more than the Beatles had.
Yeah.
You can do virtual drummers that sound great, and you can just put your whole song down in 20 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is
So,
really cool. Technology has really advanced, like people being able to just stay at home and compose like that. I think it's really cool. Like you don't need a fancy studio, or you don't need to be able to gather with a bunch of people in order to make it sound like you have a full band behind you. But
right.
like especially during like 2020, when everybody was locked down, I was talking to Jeremy recently. Like he did a show, and I forget who he was opening for, but it was like a big metal band, and he's going to kill me for not knowing who it was. But he was in Las Vegas, and it was the first time he had played in like, I don't even know, he said like 16 months or something like that, So are you jamming out with your friends, or are you just mostly playing at home right now?
Well, we started a few months ago. What brought us together was that gig at the Starlight, and we didn't know we were practicing with our masks on, because we had just all got vaccinated. We didn't know what to kind of expect, and we've been fine ever since, because we're all vaccinated and really careful with that. So we've been fine rehearsing and jamming, and I know we have another gig opening for an Alice Cooper band, I think, next month, who are pretty big. But when we played the show, it was kind of scary because nobody was wearing masks.
Oh yeah.
And it was all like anti-vaxxers and a lot of people like that. And I was like, oh my God. And people walking around like, I ain't wearing no mask. But,
Wow.
But they're like, and we're just like, okay. Thank God we're all vaccinated and, whatever,
Yeah, gosh.
Yeah, we were a little bit like, it was a huge stage too. So we're like, thank God they're, 100 feet from us. And, hopefully if they cough it, it'll die before it gets to us if they have COVID or something.
Oh my gosh. I know, what a crazy world we live in right now.
It's weird, man.
It is so weird.
But it's definitely, I think back now, like to when I was really like in bands and we would play these little clubs with like 200 people, like right in your face, and everybody's sweating and you're sharing a microphone. And now I'm like, it's just terrifying to even think of those circumstances with COVID. I'm like, we'll all be dead in 2 weeks after that, even if we're vaccinated.
I know. I used to think I was like such like a huge germ freak. Like I would never take my kids to, Chuck E. Cheese or any of those places. I wouldn't let them ever play in like those little, areas with all the little balls that you can like play in.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Ooh,
if I took them to the playground, like I had like barely, like I would like hose them down before they went in the car. But now it's just like I can't even imagine life without like wearing my mask at the grocery store, or like touching a shopping cart handle. Like,
oh my God.
It's just, I never want to go back to not wearing my mask.
I know it kind of makes you wonder, like, if when this is all said and done, if people still who want to wear masks, what they're going to be dealing with.
I know. I don't want
to take them off. I don't either. Like I feel kind of naked without it, and weird, and like really vulnerable now without it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I trust the shot as much as, with my life, is it really gonna,
Right. No, I feel it too. Definitely.
And you see a sick person, or you're still at the grocery store and someone coughs, you're still like,
yeah, everyone's
like, I want to leave. It just might be pollen or it's dusty in here, but I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
So
well, you did say that you had some show and tell for us too. So what?
Right.
What are you gonna do?
So, this is fun. I spent about a day looking for my old scrapbook, from all my bands and stuff, and I don't have a lot left. I'll move across the country. A couple of boxes went missing.
I hate that.
Yeah, but honestly, one of my favorite things, my scrapbook survived, and you're going to see a 16-year-old John here,
Yeah,
which is really funny. My
that's
first
cool.
band. If hopefully the camera will show it.
Yeah.
There I am.
Yeah, I see. That's awesome. Where was this?
This was in Norwalk, Connecticut when I was growing up, and we were in my basement, typical garage band, and I was only 16. You could see I was really into Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, the whole hat and everything.
and Stevie Ray and all that, all the blues, and I still, of course, who doesn't love all that still? And
yeah, I mean, my husband's favorite guitarist, I think, is Stevie
Ray Vaughan. Yeah, I mean they're pretty tops, and there's some pictures of us, and there's my first gig ever at 16 years old.
Wait, put that a little closer because it has a glare on it. Okay, yeah.
There's me at 16 years old, and this was a strip club.
Those are so cool that you have those.
And that was a strip club, believe it or not.
At 16?
Yeah. The drummer was in his 30s, and he brought us in through the back door, and the deal was we could only come in, play, and then we had to leave right after at the last note.
Yeah.
And they took all the girls, had to leave, and there was a couple behind the bar with their heads up looking at us with their hands on the bar. They watched us. I think we played 20 minutes, and then they
Yeah, they ducked down.
And it was really, really funny.
I'm sure you loved to tell your friends that you played a gig at the strip club.
Well, it was really kind of scary because I was afraid to get arrested or something.
Yeah.
Because a couple of my friends went in. It was called, I forget the name. I think it was the Safari or something like that. And a couple of my friends had snuck in, and they ended up going to jail for a few hours, and
oh my god,
parents called and everything. So I was like, oh my god, I don't know if this is a good idea. I was terrified to even tell anybody I did it. And I told my parents, and they laughed. Thank God, they're old hippies. So
they were like, whatever.
My dad was like, you should have told us. I'm like, but
yeah.
My dad, bless, I rest in peace. He used to do almost all our artwork for us too.
For posters and stuff like
that.
Yeah,
and he did art. So after that band, I was in a band called Smoke and Fire for a long time, and we were kind of like a Guns N' Roses kind of band. And there's some of my dad's artwork.
No way, you should definitely have those made into stickers or something.
Yeah, we had the whole thing. He did that art cassette.
I love that skull. That's awesome.
Definitely kind of a Guns N' Roses homage.
Well, it has that kind of I don't know, a skater vibe too.
Yeah,
totally. I can see that on a skate brand T-shirt.
Totally, and we even had for promos. It's so politically incorrect now, but we had cigarette packets that we made.
Oh, those are cool.
And we would buy cigarettes, and I'd print these out and put this on the cigarettes and give them to people as promos.
That is so cool.
So, the world has changed a lot since then.
I would make those into coasters or something. Those are cool.
Yeah, and and here's there's some flyers, and I forgot. So here's after that band, I was in a punk band, and we ended up touring all over the East Coast. Everywhere from Rhode Island to Boston and all the way down to I think Virginia Beach. And here was one thing where we opened up for the Ramones.
You did?
Yeah.
What? That is I bet there's a very small handful of people that could say that.
Yeah, and it was funny because this came out and they put our crappy 45 on the thing and not a Ramones cover.
Yeah, and not
and
even
we were why did they do that?
Wow, that's crazy.
And here's one where we opened up for Rancid. I don't know if you can see.
I remember them.
Yeah, we opened up for a lot of people that know them, and the Dickies and a couple of those punk bands we played with.
Yeah, punk bands.
We did a big thing with the Misfits before they reunited, when I think it was somebody else singing, the Cousin was singing or something. We played with them. We played with a lot of bands like that. Played with Johnny Thunders, which meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
From the Heartbreakers. So we had some really cool experiences with that. And then the band after that, we actually did get signed. The music industry changed so much, but we signed with a little record label called Jaybird Records. Here's the back of the cover. You can see me
Oh yeah,
in my
okay.
20s there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know my Chromebook camera sucks. I was hoping I'd have my Mac. It's much better.
Yeah, there's just it's a glare, but I can see it for sure.
My dad did this artwork.
Oh, I like the font.
Yeah, and we had this we had a song called Pitch Black Butterfly that was our big kind of spacey Pixies-esque kind of thing.
Yeah, can people look it up and listen to it?
It's not online, and this is how I looked at the time.
Yeah. I can see, all the hair.
Yeah, I had the big like Chris Cornell, Eddie Vedder thing going at the time, which was in, and yeah, we never. I'd have to contact the guys and get that album, streamed, and contact the record label, and see if they would do that.
Yeah, that'd be so cool if you could get that on iTunes.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because it's been so long, and I think the original bass player passed away who played on that, so we'd have to deal with all that.
Yeah, but it would be so worth it. I mean, you could be like, "Hey, yeah, Leo, check this out. Download the song." That's so cool.
Right. So it's a great journey, and the entire time I was writing tons and tons of songs, and I think that's an important thing. And I wasn't just writing songs. So if you're thinking about the timeline there, I started in the 80s.
Yeah.
In the 80s, when it was a lot of glam rock was big, and Guns N' Roses and all that. And when we were playing shows and stuff, there was a great guy in another band who got AIDS, and he died of AIDS, and it freaked me out so much. So the last thing I was going to do was do any of the like Almost Famous, like Living in Excess stuff. And I'm just not that kind of a person.
Right.
And I was also the singer for most of these bands. And I learned really quick, when you're in a car for 18 hours and then you go to sing, if you've been drinking and partying, but when you hit that microphone, it's just like, you sound like Grimace or something, It's
I've always wondered about, like, how do they pull that off, that like lifestyle of the tour bus, and drinking and drugs, and
I couldn't do it. So I got really super duper healthy. And while the other folks would go out and do their thing, I would often go on kind of a long walk, and I would find, something like healthy to drink. I'd go to like a coffee shop and get tea. And before the internet, there wasn't a lot to do. And I've always been an intellectual and a big reader. So I would go to the libraries. I'd go to the colleges in town, and I would hang out there, or I'd get a notebook and I'd sit in a coffee shop and I'd write. And after I wrote so many songs, I said, well, how many songs am I going to write, and sitting here for 4 hours? So I would start writing my stories again. Like when I was a kid, I'd write horror stories and stuff. And I was on tour a lot. So I wrote tons and tons. I have like 25 spiral notebooks filled with stuff.
Are you going to revisit that?
I have over the years, but I think a lot of it was kind of like learning to write stuff too again, and like kind of learning how to tell a story on a bigger, stage and things like that. Like, how do you do a novel? How do you do a successful short story? And some of it was just fragments, because I didn't have an agenda. I was just kind of like wanting to do something other than go and party, and I was saving myself. So if I was sitting there writing, I didn't have to talk to people, which was great. Or if I was sketching something, I didn't have to, like, people weren't going to come up to me and start talking to me, or the other bandmates, let John be. He's zoning out.
He's doing his own thing.
My voice.
Yeah.
And it started kind of like that again. And I remember we were on tour in Boston, and I went into Emerson College just to hang out and talk to people. And I fell in love with the college. I ended up going to school there, which was weird. So I was talking to the admissions office in the day, and then at night I played the Rat. So
that is cool.
It was kind of an interesting dichotomy. They're like, so what are you doing tonight? I'm like, oh, I'm going to play a show. They're like, what? Like, oh, I'm in a band. I'm touring the band. Like, so you just walked in here randomly? I'm like, yeah. You didn't have an appointment? No. They're like, wow, this is crazy. Where else have you gone? I said, I went to Harvard and Boston University and MIT, and just walked in and started talking to, the admissions people, and asked to go sit in the library. And they're like, what? Okay. And at the time I still had my long hair and everything. So
I like this idea of this like bookish rock star.
Yeah. Yeah, it was totally like my thing, and a lot of my influences were kind of like that too, like Sting from the Police I loved, and Springsteen and all these guys, and you know um uh Stevie Nicks. I mean, they were all like really kind of like heavy readers and very much into literature.
Yeah.
Chrissy Hind, oh my God, Liz Phair. They're really kind of like had that same kind of split too. And I always thought that was really inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, even as you're talking, like it does sound like even a horror novel. Like I could totally see this like bookish musician who is hanging out in the library after dark while everybody else is like doing their thing, and then there's just like, something spooky going on in these like old libraries, and you can write it down, their experiences. Like it's totally, your life is totally a horror novel.
It is. It totally is. And there's a lot of really scary things that we experienced out there doing those tours.
Yeah, I bet.
And things that had nothing to do with music or writing, just some like just really weird circumstances, and just and I've always, and me and a couple of the other musicians friends, we always also loved graveyards. So my hometown Norwalk, Connecticut has a lot of old colonial graveyards, and I would skip school and go to the graveyard because nobody would come to look for me there.
Oh yeah.
But I loved it because it's
hanging out in the
peaceful.
graveyard.
It was peaceful, and look, I'm a creepy guy, so
Yeah.
a couple of bullies in high school, they got me, they locked me in a mausoleum, and they thought they were going to scare me, and I was totally fine. I like,
You're like,
back, whatever,
chilling.
And they came back the next day like thinking I'd be scared. I'm like, oh, that was great. Nobody bothered me. There's no phones or anything.
I made friends with the local haunts.
And I said, and by the way, you didn't really lock the door. As soon as you left, I opened the door. They're like, and you still stayed here? I'm like, yeah, why not? They're all dead. They're not going to bother me.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's peaceful, They're lonely.
You are a creepy guy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, so tell us about, like, real quick, just tell us, like, what's on the future for you for music? Like, are you pursuing that, or, yeah?
Yeah, I'm always, me and the band are always doing, we're always doing shows. We're rehearsing constantly. I write music all the time. I have a book out now on submission that's about a weird sound from space, where my music really played a big part. And I've done a lot of music, like pre-production on that. Even the novella I just wrote, put out, Glass House, has like a fake band in it called the Needwit Songs. And those songs were written. So I think it's always going to be a part of my creative process, music in some way or another. So for me, it's all kind of intertwined.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and just for my patrons to know, a lot of my patrons are also on my newsletter for getting reviewing opportunities, books for review. Cool. And I'm going to be including John's book, The Glass House. So it will be available for request for review. So we're all excited to like jump into that.
All right. Well, that's great. That's great to hear. And I think that making art and creating things is of the gods. And I think however you do it, anybody listening or watching this, I hope you just do it. I had a great conversation with somebody the other day, and he was talking to me and said, I'm not a musician, but for the first time in my life, I was playing a drum, and I loved it. He said, I was playing for like 2 hours and I couldn't stop, and I was in a trance, but I'm not a musician. And I said, you are a musician now.
Yeah.
You access it to that certain thing, man, do it. I mean, no matter what. I mean, I don't think there should be barriers, or you have to hit some certain kind of benchmark to be something. I think if you feel it and that's you do it. You want to create something, do it.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. There are a few authors who are kind of like learning the ropes and figuring things out that are patrons of Team Horror. So that will be really encouraging for them to hear.
Yeah, just write, just write. Or if you're stuck there, draw. And if you're stuck there, bang on something, make some noise, or paint something or anything. It's all creative, and it can all feed into, your ultimate goal. If you want to make a story, for example, it can kind of unlock things. I do a lot of unlocking by playing music before I write. So maybe that could help somebody else
Yeah, for sure.
unlock that one little thing stopping them from getting there.
Yeah, it's all
You know,
storytelling. I mean,
exactly.
music and art and writing, like it's all just a way of like communicating to other people like what's going on. So
Yeah,
yeah, super cool. Well,
for
thank
sure.
you so much for joining me for Team Horror today. Like, appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with us and get to know you better. So, thanks for
Likewise.
coming out.
Well, likewise, and thank you for having me. What a pleasure talking to you, and especially talking about music.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Thanks so much, John.
you bet.
Okay, I'm going to end this. Everybody, see you later. John, hang
Bye.
tight.
Okay.